I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, before I'm going to give my argument up, I'm going to give some rebuttals toward opening opposition and comparison why closing government better than opening government. The first is jump to the rebuttal. Opposition side of the house only focus on the rehabilitation and the fear about like this corruptor can become a burden to the government because they are jobless and they unemployed, right? And I think that first the rehab thing we said as a government is not enough. Because why? Because the first thing is, ladies and gentlemen, you can't rehab corruptor. Because why? Because this kind of behavior is not like something like HIV or etc. So this kind of behavior is something that you need to make them have no ability, have no power to do this kind of thing again, right? And also for the fear that they say that they fear that corruptor can become a jobless and become a burden to the nation. We say that this is not true. Because why? Because corruptor is someone that have ability and knowledge to do something right. So that's why even though that they become poor, even though that they become people that go to jail, they still have ability and know to get the job right. So this kind of argument is not justified in this debate. And also the second of all, they also say that the jail is enough with what. But we say that as a government is not enough. Because why? Because if jail enough, this kind of corruption thing is not gonna exist, right? Because this problem is not new problems. We already face this kind of problems. This corruption thing is like face years, right? So that's why the jail is not enough. And now jump to the comparison why the closing government is better than the opening government. Ladies and gentlemen, opening government brings such an awesome mechanism. Their mechanism to make corruptor pay back what they take from nation, right? However, this mechanism is not enough. Because why? Because that's why we bring a better mechanism. Our mechanism is not only make corruptor pay back what they take and what they stole from nation, but also make them to blacklist them from the government or the political nation or political position, and also blacklist them from the higher position in company or any position that have chance to make them to do corruption again. And that's the comparison, and that's why we feel that we think that the closing government is better than the opening government. And now jump to my argument. I have two arguments in here. The first is I'm gonna explain why impoverished corruptor is justified, and the second argument is why our mechanism as closing is the best mechanism than the other team. Let's jump to my first argument. Like what I explained in my rebuttal before, jail is not enough to punish corruptor. Ladies and gentlemen, because why? Because we can't give physical punishment to non-physical crime. I mean, yes, we can, but it's not enough. Because why? Because it's not like they do abuse or etc. It's like they steal money. They stole money from the nation, and they need to pay what they do, right? And also, if we don't impoverish them, they can buy jail. For example, in Indonesia, there is Setia Novanto. Setia Novanto is the corruptor, right? And nation and like Indonesia, they don't encourage this Setia Novanto, so that's why Setia Novanto can be jail. Like there's a thing that called VIP jail. So even though that Setia Novanto in jail, he still feel happy. He is not feel the struggle of live in jail. So that's, and also his family is still happy. Because why? Because they still have money, and they still go to another country, for example to Bali, and they don't really feel the struggle even though that their father go to jail. And that's why we think that the jail is not enough, and we need it's not like we don't jail them. We also jail this corruptor, but we also impoverish them and take their money away, right? So that's why the government and this opposition side of the house about their argument is not really justified in this debate. And now jump to my second argument. Why our mechanism is the best mechanism. Ladies and gentlemen, opening government already explained to you that their main mechanism about taking corruptor money and pay back what they stole from nation, right? Yeah, it is really good. It's really best mechanism, but it's not enough. Because why? Because yes, we also agree with this mechanism. However, this is not enough, because even though that we make them pay back what they stole from nation, they still have another money, right? They still have another income from maybe from their business, from their what, etc. And I know, and also this and also because they still have their money, they don't really feel struggle. They still have some income. So even though that we make them pay back, because ladies and gentlemen, even though they do corruption, they don't like spend their money, right? They also make business or something like that from their money. So even though that maybe they stole 2 billion from us, yes, and then we make them pay like 4 billion, it's not make them poor. Because why? Because yeah, we just stole maybe like half, or maybe like not even half of their income earned and their money. So we, as closing government, our mechanism is to take all of their money. Because why? Because yeah, we want to this corruptor to feel struggle, to become a poor, to become people that don't have any income, to become people that feel struggle to fulfill their life, to buy a food and etc. And also we want to like to blacklist them from the political and government position, or maybe like higher position in company. Because why? Because this kind of position, it can make them to do corruption again. Because why? Because yeah, if even though that we take all their money, even though that we make them poor, etc. But if they have the power, and even like they maybe have orang dalam in this position, like in government or political, they can become they can become a political again. They become political parties and etc. It can make them rich and make them do corruption again, right? So that's why not also we take all their money, not also we take all their assets, we also take their power to do the corruption again, take their power to make them work in government and political position. And also, ladies and gentlemen, maybe the opposition side of the house gonna say that if we make them poor, if we blacklist them from this kind of job, this can make them being a long-term burden to us, right? We said no. Because why? Because like I said before in my justification, in my rebuttal, we said that this kind of people that become politicians, that do corruption, is people that have knowledge and ability, right? They are smart people. They maybe S1, S2, or maybe like I know. And if opposition said, if they become jobless, unemployed, they can become poor and make this nation like to become this can give the burden to government. We said no. Because why? Because even though they can being a political or like government parties, they still have ability to do another job, to do another work, right? So that's why we think that this kind of argument is not justified in our side. Thank you. That's why.
I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the proposal that being delivered by my first speaker is how to impoverish not only by the materials, but also we impoverish them to the bandit to work in highest position. This is a necessary means we take away their ability to think and to work and their knowledge. To summarize the first bench of opposition, that their concern is about them being poor and being a burden to the nation. It's not true that, and it's already being explained by my first speaker, because they still have the ability and actually they still can survive, even though they will not live longer in such a luxury life. And now I will jump into my argument. I'll bring only 2 arguments. My first argument is the efficiency to do our proposal. Why is our proposal is the best way to achieve our goals? Ladies and gentlemen, with our mechanism that being delivered by impoverish the corruptor, we see in the current status quo, a lot of corruptor isn't enough to just put them in jail. We see that after they go to the jail, after they go out, they still do a corrupt again, right? And it won't give them any effect to scare them and prevent other politicians or other people to not commit any corruption. Why? Because in our current status quo, the punishment is being simplified and being set by the law. We need to know that the jury shortened the punishment in jail, and how the facility in jail is luxury to certain corruptor. They they can pay to buy a facility in the jail with money that they have. And we can see, for example, like already said, like Setia Novanto have luxury room and the freedom to go out to the state, even under the punishment even under the punishment to stay in jail and go to rehabilitation. But the rehab didn't work anything. The rehab didn't change the behavior and the mind of the corruptor. So that's why our mechanism will do better to achieve our goal. With our mechanism, A, the corruptor will be poor and powerless. And it's really important to impoverish the corruptor because they will be powerless, they will have no power, so they cannot live any luxury life and they feel suffer because they deserve it in the first place. Like if they don't want to be poor, if the opposite teams of the house say that if they poor it will be a burden to the nation, in the first place they shouldn't do corruption, right? And when they go to jail also, if because they are being poor, they cannot afford anything that is luxury, and they will suffer in the jail, so they will feel the impact that they will no longer a corrupter. And the effect will get to also to the family. We often see, even if the corruptor do corrupt, their family still live happily ever after, with wealth and no shame. So when our state, our proposal bring down the corruptor to go to the poverty and impoverish them, it will make them to think before to do the corrupt, because their family life will be harder and harder in the future, because their family will no longer have money, their family will also feel shame, their family will struggle, and their family cannot afford the lifestyle before that already they get used to it. So our goals that with our mechanism, our goals that to reduce and prevent them to corrupt can be achieved by doing our proposal, because harm and the gravity towards other proposal that already being delivered by the opening government or also the opening opposition will never give the best result as our proposal. And I would like to thank to the opening opposition for bringing rehabilitation as example for a punishment, as example to prevent the corruptor to not corrupt again, which will never happen. Because why? Because corruptor is illness, ladies and gentlemen. They hard to cure with only a rehabilitation. They hard to cure with only self-talk and like they already know corruption is bad, but they still doing it in the first place because they didn't have any heart, and they have this kind of behavior to think they call it borderline personality disorder, when they feel they didn't do anything wrong even if they're wrong. So in the first place, if it's way easier to impoverish them, so they will have no power because they are already heartless and they can stand in the rightful mind to think that corruption is a bad thing. And then my second argument is a tackle argument towards the closing opposition. The closing opposition may bring a new mechanism such as social punishment. And I'll explain. Actually, social punishment is good. Okay, social punishment is good, but it's not enough if we don't impoverish the corruptor or the family itself. Because why? If we don't take everything from them, if we don't take what they have before in terms of impoverish the corruptor, social punishment will do nothing if they still rich, if they still wealthy. For example, right, bully the daughter of the corruptor, but she still go out with a private jet, go to the Paris holiday in Bali, party in Holy Wings. Like, even though you're bully, even though they know it will be judgmental, but they still left healthy, they're still wealthy. So with the judgment, one make them poor, and even they get bullied, they still have a lot of facility in their life, and they live no struggle. For example, if that happened in Indonesia, Alia Malika, the daughter of Alex Nurdin, like recently she has a scandal about her bad attitude toward online drivers from Gojek, right? How she posted and asked for a sympathy from the citizen. First, she feel no shame. Her dad is corrupted. And second, she needs people to feel sympathy towards her, even if like she always flags her wealthy, right? His dad is corrupted, but she didn't feel no shame and still in wealthy. She didn't feel defenseless because already like the social punishment isn't enough, because to think that she's still okay, even though her dad is okay, her dad go to the jail, but what happened next? Her family is still rich, and so what? She says that the others being too hard on her, and in the end of the day, she's still flexing and still happy. So that's why our proposal is the best way. It's the best way to prevent the corrupt to do corruption, to not doing corruption in the future, because it will not affect. It will give effect not only to the corruptor, but also to the family and to their future life. And then that's why, ladies and gentlemen, I'll bring the comparative that already all of the proposal that being said. The proposal that being said by the opening government is actually good, but it's not enough because they didn't take, or they didn't prevent them if they came back after get impoverished, because they still came back to a political again. And then the opposite team of the house also only bring the rehabilitation, that in our status quo the rehabilitation will never work. So that's why we need to oppose this motion. So that's why we need to propose this motion. Thank you.